Real quickly, guys, I just wanted to come out here and just like I said in a quick video about episode 17, just to not to give too much away, but I will put it this way. If you are a Sparity fan, a Sparity supporter, Rarity and Spike shipper, then episode 17 might be a little bit of glim of hope for you. Now, what I mean by that, and again, I don't want to give too much away, but from what I'm pretty sure a lot of people have already seen, if they decided to watch the early release / leaked episode courtesy of China's on-demand service, basically the episode deals with Twilight trying to prepare and put on probably the best final summer sunset festival for the princesses because, they are stepping down. However, her friends are kind of worried that because she's taken on such a responsibility that she might end up twilighting again. In other words, she might end up stressing out, going a little cuckoo, a little loony, stuff like that. So they decide the best way to do this is try to make sure nothing goes wrong, and even if something goes wrong, not to have Twilight alerted about it, or not have Twilight know about it or alerted about it. So they decide to try to keep things or make things look as peaceful and unknowing as before. Or basically, they try to make it look like nothing's going on. So anyway, long story short, from what I've seen, it looks like they split into groups of 3 or groups of 2, 3 groups of 2. From what I've seen, they split up into 3 groups of 2. It looks like, from what I could tell and from what people have mentioned, it looks like Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash go off in one group, Applejack and Pinky in another, and here's where, if you're a Sparity fan, you're going to like this, Rarity and Spike get paired off. Now, I don't know whether or not there's a little bit of blushing between the two, or a little bit like, kind of acknowledgement, like the kind of shy around each other. I don't know. I don't really know. But they do spend a decent amount of time around each other. Now, I'm not saying that we might get a blushing moment, a spiky wikey moment, or some kind of maybe reference or acknowledgement. But they do spend time around each other trying to make sure things go off without a hitch, without any problems, stuff like that. So you do get a decent amount of time in there with them. Again, not saying we get any kind of like real tease or romantic tease or acknowledgement, like blush and all that. But the writers, I think I read it's Michael Vogel that's doing this one. I'm not really sure. Apparently, they know what fans want to see before the show goes out. So, or before the show ends, I should say. So we're basically getting something here. It might be along the lines of what Miss Anthropony Map said in one of their reviews. I think it was Meltdown they talked about, or Breakdown, or whatever. Well, he said that Spike and Rarity's relationship is more enjoyable when they're viewed as just being best friends, BFFs, if you will. And you might be able to interpret the scenes here, the moments here, I should say, that they have together as being something like that, but kind of on the borderline. I'm not saying we don't get any blushing, we don't get any, hey, I don't like Spike or Rarity being like, hey, I don't mind being between Spike and Rarity, like Spike's like, hey, I don't mind being around her, and maybe she acknowledges the same thing. I don't know. All I know is if you're a Sparity fan, you will get moments here in episode 17. They will be put together they will be paired off, basically. But the thing is, we don't know when it happens. If it just happens off screen, happens on screen, we don't know. But if you're a Sparity fan, it is something to look at. Will this lead to something and later on? We don't know. Again, it might be done in a way like Map said. It just shows them as being BFFs that like being around each other. We don't know. Now, before I do close, I do want to mention one thing about episode 18 that a fan pointed out. They said in episode 15, there's a moment where a character, I'm not going to say who, but it's a very close pet friend of Fluttershy's, that basically acknowledges or jokes around or whatever that Fluttershy wants to marry Discord. Don't know whether that was done sarcastically, jokingly, or whatever, but that's what the character says. Now, one fan mentioned to me that basically this is not just a reference to a very popular, very well-known story within the fan base called Bride of Discord, but it's also an acknowledgement by the creative staff of not just that story, but also the Fluttercord shippers, and that they at least acknowledge, yeah, we hear you, so don't worry. We know what you want to see. And the reason they brought this up to me is because if Fluttershy X Discord, is brought up, then that basically means there is hope for a spike in Rarity, because the writing staff acknowledges basically, I guess, acknowledges the shipping of these two characters, or these four characters that have been going around, referenced, teased, and all that, noticed by the fans for quite some time. So we'll just have to see how it plays out towards the end. If it's just a reference and all that, or an acknowledgement, I'm sure fans will be glad about that. But at least, if in an official capacity, it's out there. So we'll just have to wait and see. But anyway, I just thought I'd come on here and mostly let you know what, if you're a Sparity fan, there are moments, Sparity, tons of them. Maybe not on the romantic level, but still tons of them. In episode 17, again, I don't know when they get paired off, if they're paired off on screen and they kind of blush about it. Spike maybe says something sweet about being with Rarity or whatever. I don't know. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I thought I'd just let you guys know. So comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. And I'll talk to y'all later.